Hello everybody, it's August 4th, 2023. Sorry for the little break there in updates. I had a baby and had to take some time off there, obviously away from charts for a bit. But I'm pretty happy that, literally nothing has happened. I mean, we've continued to really not make too much progress. So anyway, let's take a look at what I said on the 18th of July. At that time, we still really hadn't made much progress, and we haven't made much progress since then. But let's take a look. These three scenarios here. If Bitcoin heads up now or after hitting that area, that's number 1 and 2. It did not do either of those, so we're just going to cross those out, right? Number 3 is pretty much what it looks like it's doing. So if it continues bleeding downwards, which it has, breaks below 28,750, which it has, we're going to have to just watch and see what it looks like. That 27, 29K area is potentially a valid spot for a bullish scenario. And I said at the time it may actually increase the chances the bulls would hold here, and I am going to show you what I mean by that. Because basically the bears are just kind of pressing down. They're not really laying this foundation for a sustained move down at this point in time, and so they are kind of opening themselves up to bulls taking over. I'm not 100% convinced by that. Obviously, we need to, see how it plays out. But basically, when I did that video, we were right around here in this area. That's the 18th there, or the 17th or the 18th, right in that area, right? And so I was looking at the potential for this to be a 4 and a 5 and continue upwards, but it needed to stay above 28,750 for that to be the case. And so obviously that has not happened. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and probably take this orange scenario off at this point. We're going to leave the blue one on as the only bullish scenario that I have. But I'm very wary of it because we didn't even hit this minimum target, right? We were a little shy of it by about 200 bucks. So it's within the realm of possibility for it to be complete, but the lack of a really nice looking completed fifth wave makes me pretty wary there about the prospects of the blue scenario holding. Now, the one thing working in the bull's favor right now is that the decline that we have here is very corrective looking. There's not too much here that looks incredibly impulsive, and that's that foundation I was talking about for the bears. The bears are not really super laying that foundation out right now. It kind of looked like maybe they were going to. This looked like an initial 5 down. There was a second wave up, right? So in red I have 1, 2. But we haven't really seen the follow through that I would have expected for 3. So I'm going to leave that on there, that red scenario, for the bear case as a possibility, and just kind of shift these things sideways. But it's not looking super promising for the bears at this point. But if we do see that kind of vicious dump happen for wave 3, followed by just a corrective bounce up and then another wave down, in that case, then we'll have a completed 5 waves down, and I will expect further continuation downwards from the bears. So something to keep an eye on. It just visually doesn't really look like it's super doing that right now. So I'm going to get rid of some of these other things here as well. All right, so basically this blue box here is assuming that this is a 5-wave move up. We are looking for the 382 to 618 retrace basically as a second wave. So this would be in the larger degree. If the bulls are going to take over, it would look like this. There's wave 1. Wave 2 is going to end somewhere in this blue box, and then we're going to get a nice big pump for 3, followed by 4, followed by 5. Let us make that a little bit larger here. Okay, so that's the next degree. That's what we're looking for in blue scenario, right? I kind of went over that red bearish scenario as well. If we see a nice big dump, we would expect to go to the bearish scenario instead, especially if that big dump goes through the blue box and then again is followed just by corrective bounce and then down. again, that would be an indication the bears are going to take over rather than this bullish scenario. But let me just zoom out just a little bit. Let's go to the 4 hour. I want to point something out here. I've mentioned it a couple of times. The move off of the low, this 15.5 low that we have, is not 5 waves. It is 3 waves. We have an A, a B, and a C. And so best case scenario for bulls is that they're making a leading diagonal. I am less and less convinced of that the more this goes on. And I'm more thinking that this could be a large WXY. This is ABC and a W. We're getting sort of like potentially ABC here for an X, and then ABC up for a Y. Or potentially this is already X, and we're working on a Y wave or a C wave or something like that. And that kind of means, you know, this move equals this move, basically. And honestly, if it goes up from this, it's probably going to start looking a lot like that. And the reason I say that is we can take our fib extension here, draw it here. If we're looking at the micro, let's say it gets somewhere into the middle of this box, we can kind of drag these numbers around a little bit. We'd have our 3 expected somewhere around there, or 4 expected around there, and 5 would be expected somewhere around here, 43 to 46. And if you remember, I've talked about that red bearish scenario in the macro where we just get an ABC up for a big wave 2, A, B, C for a big wave 2, and then we go down. And we can confirm that with a fib extension from here to here. And guess where the danger zone is for that wave 2? Right in here. With the 1.0 extension being right at 49K, 764 at 41K. So we have, again, lots of confluence. If this does do this, again, this is premature, but if it does this, it's not going to look like bullish continuation to me. It's going to look like that's just the end of a correction, likely for this wave 2, before a big dump down. So basically what I'm saying is the bullish case is really not all that bullish, the way it's looking right now. The only way that that goes away is if we get this 1, 2, this could be 3, especially if it goes a little long, 4 and 5, and that would have to happen as a diagonal, which I've mentioned before, something along those lines, which is very complex to trade. Lots of whipsaw is gonna happen during that, and you're never really going to be sure that it is truly a bull market all throughout that time frame. But just be aware. I know I've gone over this in prior videos, so maybe go back and review, but this can very much be considered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, A, B, C up for that wave 2, and then dump, right? That's what I'm looking at as the uber bearish case that honestly is looking more and more likely, especially if this does go up in this blue scenario. Now what might change that, well, it doesn't really change things, but it could be, you know, in the bullish case, if this dumps down, you know, starts showing us this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in red, it's possible then that we're just going back down into this yellow box, and then we could go up again from there, but it's just as likely, honestly, that it would continue downwards from there as well. All right, I don't know if any of that was super clear. It probably was not. I apologize for that, but it is very complex. We're kind of tracking a lot of different scenarios here. So I'm trying to give you an overview of the larger picture, things to watch out for. But the main thing I'm really personally paying attention to is short term, right? Because if I see this come down, get into this blue box area here, give us a little micro 5 waves up, I can look to them long, right? Or alternately, if it crashes all the way through, comes here, then I can look to short, right? So I'm looking at those short term moves to determine what I'm going to do trading wise. But I'm trying to pay attention to that long-term picture too, just so we're not taken by surprise with anything, and also so I can direct my own trading. I know for me right now, it is not a good strategy to buy and hold. For me, that is not a good strategy, and I'm really just looking to make short-term gains in this market. Take little trades, get in, get out, go back to cash, and that's pretty much how I'm playing this right now, because there's just way too much uncertainty in the market and in these moves. None of these moves are high-quality moves. Honestly, it's not high-quality moves for the bears either. So that's the only thing the bulls kind of have going for them, as I said. All right, hopefully that made sense, and we'll see if we make any more progress over the weekend. I will do another video on Monday, and we'll take a look at the action at that time. We'll go from there. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. I will talk to you on Monday.